You are my candy girl.
I think we're going to have about 65 people on here. We got an incredible response.
My kids are going to help, and my mother-in-law's here too, so we're all going to do it together.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel.
I am so happy that Rachel Barnes agreed to do this event with us. You may have seen her video vlog or food vlog on Facebook. You might want to follow her. It's called We Cook Together, and she does a lot of traditional, and we're just so excited to have her with us tonight. And she'll take any questions you might have. And also you can put any questions as they come to mind into the chat, and she'll address them. Without further ado, I'm going to put myself on mute and I'll hand it over to Rachel.
Thank you. You are my candy girl. Okay, thank you for joining. I want to really thank a very welcoming and kind community here in Tustin, California, for sponsoring this baking show, and we hope there will be more to follow. So to start off, we're going to start 3 things. First of all, eggs. Eggs have to be room temperature. With cold eggs, it delays the baking time, and with baking, as you know, it has to be perfection, right? So that's one of the reasons we need room temperature eggs. So if you just took your eggs from your refrigerator, you want to run it in warm water. You don't want to do boiling water. You don't want to cook your eggs. You just want to have it at room temperature. Another thing, you can make your coffee now. We're going to use either coffee or tea. If you're going to use coffee, and put a whole teaspoon of coffee
with half a cup of boiling water.
Third thing, you want to put your oven at 340 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, I see you going to your ovens. Good. 340. Usually we bake cakes at 350, but with honey cake, you want to take it slower. So it's always a good idea to measure out your ingredients before you start. Something like what I did, it's good because then you put everything back in your pantry and you're just working with what you have. It's always So let's get started, and then I'll take questions. First, we're going to take a 1.5 cup of flour, and we're going to sift it. I'm going to sift my flour. In the bowl, I'm going to add
1/4 teaspoon of salt,
1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you don't have cloves, you can put 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. If you don't have cardamom, you can put 1/4 teaspoon of more cinnamon. So you want a total of 1.5 teaspoons of spice. So 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour that I've sifted in my bowl. I added 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and our spices, which adds up to 1.5 teaspoons.
I have almost.
If you want to double this recipe, the rules of thumb is for every cup of flour, you'll add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and you will add 1 teaspoon of baking powder for 1 cup of flour. So here we sifted all our dried ingredients except for the sugar. Don't do the sugar yet. I just wanted to show you some parts of the mixer. This is a wok, we do breads with it. This is called a paddle, we do cookies or cakes. Even though this is a cake, it's an exception with honey cake. With honey cake, we're going to use our whisk.
mixing our eggs with our sugar first before our honey. So you have 2 eggs, and you have your 1/2 cup of brown sugar. If you don't have, you can use regular sugar. You're going to whisk this together. So you're whisking your eggs with your sugar right now for 1 minute.
A little faster.
On medium high.
So I've got my eggs and I've got my sugar in here. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of honey. Can I see your honey? 1/2 cup of honey. I just like the sugar with the eggs. You know how you beat your butter with the sugar, you know, the protein with the sugar, that really makes it nice and creamy.
1 cup of oil. We're gonna put it in with our half a teaspoon of vanilla essence. 1/3 cup of oil with our vanilla essence.
Oh, is there a particular kind of honey that you like better than another?
You want to get real honey, because how you can tell between fake honey or real honey is when you dissolve it in water, the fake one dissolves very quickly, but when you get the real honey, it's like a lump. It'll go to the bottom of your glass and it won't dissolve as quick. So you want to get a good honey, any honey you like, raw honey.
What's a fake honey?
Fake honey, there are a lot of honeys out there that you will read. It will say honey, but they're not really honey. It has more sugar in it than honey. Up the oil, we're going to mix the oil slowly with the vanilla essence.
Rachel, do we put the coffee in yet, or we just did the oil? Yes? Okay, thank you.
The coffee goes hand in hand with our flour mixture.
Are you using the whisk attachment or are you using the paddle now?
We whisk all the time. I'm going to use
Whisk all the time. Okay.
Which is the whisk?
Here's the whisk. Can you see it?
Oh, okay, yes.
Rachel, what should the consistency be? Should it be very liquidy? Should it be like...
Right now it's liquidy because we didn't put our flour yet. Flour we do in 3 parts. So we'll do 1/3 of the flour mixture with 1/3 of your coffee mixture.
You are my candy girl, and you got me.
And we're going to add more of our coffee. Give more another mix. First on slow. You can already see the coffee giving it the darker color to the honey mix. We're going to put another 1/3.
So here goes, I'm putting my flour like about 1/3. Because you want it to be incorporated in your mix.
Okay guys, this is the secret ingredient. This is whiskey. I'm going to put a tablespoon of whiskey. And the reason I put whiskey, it brings up the sweetness of your dessert. Just 1 tablespoon, not a drop more.
Rachel, what kind of whiskey are you putting in there?
Any whiskey will work.
Like bourbon or scotch?
Any whiskey can work.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready for the last part of the flour.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
So if I don't have the KitchenAid mixer like that, and I'm using a hand mixer, would it be like on a medium or high? What would you recommend?
No, it depends. The first stage was medium-high with the eggs and the sugar.
High on an electric mixer, right?
And then with the oil and vanilla essence, you do low.
Okay.
With your dry mix and your coffee, you always start low because then you're going to have flour all over the kitchen. And then
Right.
you can always do it higher.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
Can you show us your current consistency? Can you bring it closer to the camera?
Yeah. If you have a mixer, you would want to take down all the mix around your bowl. Push it down.
How much whiskey?
1 tablespoon.
Okay, thank you.
Push it down. Your mix, can you see the flour sticking and on the edge of your bowl? You don't want to overmix, by the way. Very important. This stage with the flour and coffee, you don't want to mix it for too long. Come down here, I can show you.
Is this going to go in a loaf pan?
Yes, so this is what I'm going to show you. Here's a 9-inch by 5 loaf cake. This time, as I did already one yesterday, this time I'm going to do it with a band. Okay. This is interesting. When you do it with your band, actually it really bakes evenly because of the hole. This is physics.
The hole makes it easier for the heat to reach the whole cake.
This is perfect. So, but if you don't have it, this works also great. And to make sure you oil this really, really well. I can't emphasize enough. But it will stick because it's honey. You really want to oil this really well. Or if you're doing a dairy, you can butter it. I'm going to show you the consistency. Somebody had asked me. So this is the consistency you'd like. See, Brigitte is tipping out her cake.
340, Rachel?
340, yes. Usually cakes we do 350, you're right, but with honey cakes we do 340. We don't want it to burn. Because sugar, I don't know if you notice, if you do something sweet like a raisin challah, usually gets brown and burnt faster because of the sugar. So we want to bake it at 340.
And if you don't have a bundt, what size should I, is it 2 loaf pans, or should I try to do like a Pyrex like that other woman showed?
So, if you want to do 2, you have to double your recipe. And when you double, I think I told you what you do with the baking powder and soda. Then you double flour, you're okay. You double your sugar, your honey. That is the baking powder and baking soda. You want to be careful. I'm going to put my mix in my bundt pan this time.
Do you ever put raisins or anything in your honey cake?
No, but you can. I put either walnuts on top,
Pecans.
or almonds. And what I did here, I had almonds, but it had the skin on it. So what I did, I boiled some water and I soaked my almonds, and they're very easy. You see, they're peeling off. If you want to do it with almonds and you don't have it without the peel, it's very easy. I'm ready to put my cake in the oven. I don't know about you, if you all have done that already. But it's going in.
How long for the bundt?
About 50-55 minutes.
And for the loaf pan?
About 35-40. If you see that it's really browning on top, you could put foil on. You could open it. I don't like to open the oven in the middle, but towards the end is okay. You'll open it and just cover with foil.
Does it freeze well?
Good question. The honey cakes freezes for up to 3 months. But I want to tell you, you don't want to eat honey cake the same day. The more time you wait, the better. And I have a story for you. One day in our bakery, I was telling you we're making all these honey cakes. And we had a new employee. We hired more help because of the holidays. And I had a honey cake sitting there that said display only. Wow. So the new employee, I told her what happened, the side fell off. Customer came in, she said she wanted the honey cake. I wasn't there, I was at the back. She sold the lady the cake that was displayed. It was probably about a month old. The lady came in 3 weeks later and she said, you know what? She said, the honey cake that I bought from you. I said, wait, what? The honey cake that was just, and she's pointing, that was that. And I looked at Maria, and Maria looked at me. And I want to tell you, she said it was the best honey cake she ever tasted. And that honey cake was sitting there for weeks. So that just to show you the honey cakes can stay for a very, very long time. It tastes better because then the flavors get all blended in, so it tastes even better. You refrigerate it. Just before you eat it, you want it to be in room temperature. You want to take it out like this one. This one I made last night. Okay, so this is, I took it out of the refrigerator. Room temperature. So if you have questions, I can sure. Barbara?
Yes, I just wanted to check. Could you also bake them in the little mini loaf pans? If you wanted to give them as a little gift to make just little ones, would that work?
You could. They'll be baked faster, so I wouldn't bake it the same.
Would you reduce the temperature a little bit?
Yes.
To offset it?
Yes, that's a good question. And somebody asked me about if they can do it without eggs. A cake with 3 eggs and up, you can't really substitute. It's hard. But this cake has 2 eggs. So for this kind of cake, if you can't have high multi, if you can't have eggs, then you could just put yogurt, or if you're doing a non-dairy, banana, applesauce. And then what I do, I make a glaze, and I have a recipe. It's on the screen, but I will send it to you. A honey glaze that I would put little holes here with the toothpick, and I will just pour the honey glaze into the cake. That's about eggs. Let me see if I can see more questions. At the meantime, you feel free to raise your hand so I know who you are. Okay, Nancy, thank you. So Nancy asked me if she could convert this cake to a gluten-free cake. And yes, you can. Bob Mills is just one of them. Make a gluten-free flour, and it's just 1-to-1, which means if you're putting 1 cup of regular flour, you would just put 1 cup of this gluten-free flour. That's a good question.
If it's in a glass pan, does it cook as long as a metal pan?
It cooks the same.
Somebody else had a question. You had been talking about almonds and blanching the almonds. Can you talk a little bit more about what would you do if you wanted to add almonds?
Sure. So I took a cup of almonds with skin and I poured boiling water. I left it there for about 5 minutes. And as you can see, it peeled. Oops. If you're doing raisins, you're going to put that in your mix while you're mixing it. So I have a tip for you guys. Don't put raisins as it is. I would do the same like blanch it. I would put it with a little bit of hot water. You want to soften the raisins before you put it inside your mix. I'm going, by the way, I have recorded this whole 42 minutes. Wow. I've recorded this whole session. So I'm going to post it. I have a private group called We Cook Together on Facebook, and I welcome you to join, where we share recipes. Everybody shares recipes. And it's a multicultural platform where we have from all different countries. Honey.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Bye.
Thank you for organizing us, Leah. Thank you, Rachel.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Rachel and Leah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Hello from Chicago.
Thank you,
hi.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Enjoy your cake.
You are my candy girl. Thank you. Honey.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you.